Hello, guys. Okay, so I'm doing like a video lecture because none of the YouTube videos that I found really touched what I wanted them to touch. So we're gonna start with just an introduction of Cabaret. Okay, so Cabaret was written as a musical in about the early 60s. Okay. We kind of started to see its emergence around then. It was based on a play called I Am a Camera. And that play was based around a memoir written by an American journalist. His name, let me double check. His name was Christopher Ursherwood, sorry. And he wrote a memoir about his time in Berlin at the kind of onset of World War II, where, Nazis are beginning to take over, and kind of just the weird things that were happening in that space, and the unknowing, but at the same time, the very much knowing of what was going on in that location at that time. So, it's important to understand that Cabaret is still following this memoir kind of structure. So we have our journalist, who he has a different name in Cabaret. It's not Christopher Ursherwood. It is Cliff Bradshaw. So this character, Cliff Bradshaw, is telling about his time in Berlin at this point in time. And then, so that's one of your settings. And then we also have another setting that acts as that kind of limbo zone called the Kit Kat Club. So the Kit Kat Club is in Berlin. There are scenes that take place that are important to the plot that actually happen in the Kit Kat Club. But besides like the initial onset of people meeting and that first kind of view into the Kit Kat Club, everything else that happens in the Kit Kat Club is a satirical play or some sort of magnifying like production about what is going on in the plot and giving some sort of comedic edge to it to keep the audience kind of in light spirits in lieu of this heavy, dark plot line. So it is important to know that while this is a concept musical, there is a plot line, but we're seeing that idea of limbo come in and episodic kind of moments that drive a certain kind of theme that we see for the concept musical. Cool. So that's our introduction. I'm going to go over the characters in this video. And then in the next video I have, after you watch the intro song, Welcome In, which is sung by the MC, we'll go over the whole plot. And then we'll kind of go back and sprinkle some stuff in. Cool? So, the characters, we already talked about Cliff. Cliff is the journalist. So this whole production is through his memoir, through his memory of what was going on at that time in his life, and knowing that is very important. His opposite is Sally Bowles. Okay, I want you to couple these two in your mind. They act as kind of a couple and a foil to one another. Cool? Then there's kind of a simultaneous plot going on with Herr Schultz and Fräulein Schneider. So Herr Schultz is a shop owner. He is Jewish, and that is important to note. And Fräulein Schneider is the landlord of the home that Cliff, Sally, Cost, they all kind of live in. So they're both German, but Herr Schultz is Jewish. And they're both German through and through. They grew up there. They have nowhere else to go. Whereas Cliff and Sally, it's important to note, Cliff is American and Sally is from, I believe, Great Britain. So they're not from Germany. They can leave whenever they want. That's important to know. We also have these two characters. I'm going over the Berlin-based characters first, okay? we have these two characters, Ernest, I don't know, you potato, and Fräulein Cost. We're going to refer to her as Cost because it makes it a little bit easier. So Cost and Ernst, they're side characters, but they drive the plot forward. I gave them little angry eyebrows because they are mischievous. So that'll be fun. We'll talk about that. Then in the realm of the Kit Kat Club, we have the MC. The MC acts as a kind of enigma character where he doesn't really have a plot line. He doesn't have a character arc. He has character traits, yes, but he is acting as a magnifying lens as to what is going on in the plot, okay? He is telling us the story. So he's this kind of narrator figure in Cliff's memoir. Interesting, right? So that's important to note. He only really exists in the realm of that limbo zone. Whereas we'll also see Sally Bowles in that realm. She kind of gets to live in both. And we'll go over why in the plot video. So enjoy Welcome In. It is sung by the MC. It kind of sets up, it's our opening song. And he's just kind of welcoming you to the world of cabaret.